everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to be unpacking a really profound Eastern spiritual concept. It's an incredibly fascinating topic, centered on the English version of the profound teaching, the one point of the Holy Teacher, transmitting the inexplicable wonder. Basically, we're exploring how this single mystical transmission is said to completely unlock our ultimate destiny. We'll be looking closely at source texts that lay out an ancient, highly structured pathway to true spiritual liberation.
But before we dive into all the esoteric mechanics of these teachings, we really need to stop and ask ourselves a fundamental question. Is our destiny already written in stone, or can we actually change it? It's the ultimate philosophical puzzle, right? Are we just totally bound by a life script we didn't even write? Or is there some hidden key out there that lets us transcend it entirely? Well, this is exactly what the source material aims to answer for us. So here is our roadmap for today. We'll be going through 6 distinct stages. 1. The cycle of destiny. 2. The lost spiritual key. 3. The inexplicable wonder. 4. The 3 treasures. 5. Changing your fate. And finally, 6. Cultivating in modern times.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the cycle of destiny.
According to the source texts, humanity's absolute greatest disaster isn't some sudden physical catastrophe. No, it's actually the endless, invisible cycle of death and rebirth. For centuries, spiritual seekers have retreated deep into these misty mountains, all just to escape worldly karma. And the teachings describe karma as this sort of invisible net. It's woven from our past actions, our fleeting desires, and our really stubborn habits. And over the course of multiple lifetimes, these threads completely trap our spiritual nature right here in the material world.
To really paint a picture of just how inescapable this karmic debt can be, the texts share this incredibly vivid, almost shocking story called the Tale of Master Wuda. So Wuda was this highly respected monk, but he allowed just a brief, fleeting moment of arrogance to cloud his mind. And that single little lapse, it allowed a vengeful spirit, get this, from 10 lifetimes prior, to physically manifest as a painful, human-faced tumor right on his leg. And this tumor literally demanded to be fed meat and wine. It's wild, but it serves as a super visceral metaphor. Unresolved past actions will always find a way to demand payment unless we actively transcend them.
Moving right along to Section 2, the lost spiritual key.
So if karma can literally track us down across 10 lifetimes, how on earth do we escape it? Well, the text uses this famous, slightly funny anecdote to perfectly capture our whole predicament. It goes, "I lost my keys in the house, but I'm looking for them under the street light because it's brighter out here." It's so true, right? We lose our spiritual key in the quiet, dark depths of our own inward nature. But where do we look? We search for it outside, under the bright, flashy streetlights of wealth, status, and worldly pleasures.
Which brings us to Section 3, the inexplicable wonder.
This is really the core of this whole explainer, the ultimate spiritual solution presented in the texts, known as the one point. So what is it? It's defined as a profound mystical transmission from a designated holy teacher. Think of it as an energetic unlocking. It literally opens the door of birth and death, fully awakening your original enlightened nature. And the tradition makes a massive, bold claim here. They say this transmission directly alters your spiritual registry, like it literally erases your name from the underworld's book of death and records it up in heaven.
Now you're probably thinking, okay, that sounds amazing, but is there any actual proof? Well, according to the tradition, the evidence of this spiritual transcendence is highly physical and completely observable. The texts assert that practitioners who receive the Tao, this one point, and go on to live a virtuous life actually exhibit miraculous physical signs after they pass away. Their bodies don't experience rigor mortis, they just remain soft and supple. Their faces keep this lifelike pink hue for days after passing, and that's even in the dead of winter or the absolute heat of summer. For followers of this path, this is the ultimate undeniable validation that the soul has peacefully returned to heaven.
Let's dive into the mechanics of this in Section 4, the 3 treasures.
So, how exactly is this profound awakening concretely transmitted to someone? It happens during a sacred ritual involving the 3 lamps, which represent the mandate of heaven. During this, the Holy Teacher transmits what are called the 3 treasures. First up is the heavenly portal. This is opened, and it's the literal one point or gateway of the soul, kind of like an awakened spiritual third eye. Second, you are given the True Sutra. This is a secret, wordless mantra used to anchor your restless mind and connect to heaven. And third is the hand seal. This is a physical gesture, a mudra, that symbolizes holding a spiritual child, representing a return to our original, pure nature. Together, these are your daily tools for maintaining that vital spiritual connection.
This brings us to Section 5, Changing Your Fate.
Once you've recovered the spiritual key and that heavenly portal is opened, you are finally empowered to take control and actually change your destiny. The texts use a really beautiful quote here. Life is like a book. The important thing is its content, not its thickness. To back this up, the source material points to Confucius's famous disciple Yen Hui. Even though Yen Hui died tragically young at just 32 years old, he achieved complete sagehood. It's a powerful reminder. By cultivating our awakened nature, we get to rewrite the true value and content of our destiny, totally regardless of how long we happen to live.
And finally, Section 6, Cultivating in Modern Times.
Now, hearing about all these ancient, esoteric traditions, you might be wondering, do I seriously need to go retreat to a secluded, misty mountain monastery to practice this today? The texts give us a resounding no. They explain that we have currently entered what they call the White Sun Era, and this is a time characterized by widespread spiritual grace. You absolutely do not need to leave society. Instead, you cultivate your original nature right while living at home, working your job, and being with your family. Everyday mundane chores, like pouring a glass of water or just sweeping the floor, they can actually be transformed into profound acts of spiritual devotion just by performing them with an awakened mindset.
By finding that spiritual key inward, rather than endlessly searching under the bright streetlight of worldly distractions, these texts suggest we can all awaken to our true, unburdened selves. The 1 point basically hands you back the pen to your own destiny. So, with that pen firmly back in your hands and knowing that the actual depth and content of your story matters so much more than the length, what will you choose to write in the book of your life? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer today. It's been a fascinating journey. Catch you next time.